to the first ever Black Flag Collective Media Group discussion. Today, the first episode is going to be about the curious case of the New Black Syndrome. And I have three panel guests here with me, and we're going to start with ladies first. So, Em, I'm going to let you introduce yourself first, and then we can move left.
Okay. Hi, my name is Emily So, but you can call me M. I am a writer and a secular womanist, and I am originally from Haiti, born there, proud Haitian, but I was raised in South Florida.
Next, Justin, introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Justin Dash, writer, English major, well, graduate of English with a degree in English creative writing. Looking to break into the fun-filled world of film criticism. Well, I mean, that's about it as far as I'm concerned. Viewpoints are typically everything trying to strive for equality, rights for people of color, women, LGBTQ, that kind of thing. Also, I'm an atheist. I don't think that's important, but I feel like mentioning it anyway. So yeah, there's that.
Okay, well, last but not least, we've got Kenneth. And
Hi, I'm Kenneth Lyles in Atlanta by way of Colorado. Mostly raised in Atlanta. I was raised on asphalt and Robitussin. Let's see. I have a degree in computer science from Georgia State University. Go Panthers. Let's see. I'm into video games, anime, comic books, various things, sci-fi like Doctor Who. I know a little bit of Japanese. Game of Thrones, you name it.
Game of Thrones is shit.
So I can agree that we're all Black intellectuals here, and we all agree that we have a serious problem with this new Black shit.
Don't get me started. Well, actually, I guess we have to get started, so please get me started.
Okay, so I know, Em, you mentioned before when you were talking, well, actually, Justin, you mentioned Pharrell, and Em, you were going to give a little bit of an explanation on that. You mind starting us off with that discussion and how Pharrell started this whole movement of bullshit?
Sure. But, well, here's the thing. Before we even talk about the topic of the new Black, I want to point out that the new Black isn't really the new Black. This has been going on in Black subculture for decades. And actually, Michael Eric Dyson wrote a book about it called Is Bill Cosby Wrong? And it was talking about how there's always been a class of the Black elite that blame the Black working and Black lower class for their own problems and for the perpetuation of racism. These people have always existed. Their whole premise rests on the idea that if Blacks just pull ourselves up on our bootstraps and do better, that our situations would improve, and that we are responsible for perpetuating the stereotypes which perpetuate racism. This ideology isn't new. It should come in a new packaging because Bill Cosby's played out. He's old as hell. It's not in our generation. We now have voices of our generation peddling the same bullshit in a new fancy paper. Now, how do I feel about it? I feel that no amount of money can make an oppressed group or an oppressed individual, an individual who's a member of an oppressed group less oppressed. I'm going to clarify this. I don't think that being a rich Black woman will make me any less oppressed as both Black and female. I don't think that a person being a rich gay man, especially if that's a gay man of color, will make that group less oppressed. All that money will do is give us, the rich individual, the tools to navigate our oppression better and therefore alleviate some of that pressure off of it. And can give us that false illusion that oppression is no longer there, and we trick ourselves into thinking that we are the rule rather than the exception.
I just like I'm dumbfounded by the whole thing because.
See, here's my thing. I've never heard any of the group refer to themselves as a new thing. I've never heard of the new Jewish movement, or the new Asian movement, or the new Pakistan Indian, whatever other race or ethnicity that's out there. I've never heard of another new movement because people try to move as one. It's just another way for, like, you guys all heard of the crab mentality, right?
Right.
Crab in a barrel syndrome.
Exactly. Whenever one of us try to do better, or we always try to pull each other back, and that's what I think that this whole new black thing is another way to divide and pull ourselves back. And a whole other way of saying, hi, I'm better than you. But why are you trying to be better than your own people when the group that you're trying to be that's like still looks down on you? And you can still see it, like, for example, when wealthy black people fall, they fall hard because the people who they try to, look up to, kind of forsake them after their fame and fortune is gone. Like, case in point, the whole football incident between Chiefs and the other guy with domestic violence. And when that happened, what happened? Everybody turned on them, right? But then you turn to NASCAR when their heroes were found, in the same domestic violence thing. You didn't hear about it like maybe once in the media. So it's
not even that. I mean, white football players have been accused of beating their wives. Hockey players have been accused of beating wives and girlfriends. Police officers have been accused of beating wives and girlfriends. These are the top two careers that attract people who are violent to their partners: police work and professional football.
I think athleticism in general.
There have been studies. No, because basketball players aren't getting accused of this. Tennis players aren't getting accused of this. Tiger Woods' wife came out swinging, and he didn't beat the crap out of her. You know what it is? You have a contact sport where you're paid to be violent, and you have a career field where you're paid to be violent.
That's true. I think the new black movement, one, it's a movement that seems to relegate itself strictly to the well-to-do of our community.
Exactly.
So they're in a position where they feel like they can afford to avoid discrimination. Even then, they can't really avoid it. I see it as, I don't want conflict. These white people are the people that unfortunately hold the keys to the gate. So in order for me to get to where I want to be, I unfortunately have to go through them. So I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, because I'm scared that if I do this, I'm not going to be able to make it. They're going to stand in my way. They're going to say, you can't have this key, and I'm going to be right there at the bottom with everybody else. And I feel like the biggest thing that works against this ideology is that we've proven that when we work together as a unit, we are an unstoppable force. So rather than go off and say, let's appease Massa, I'm scared of Massa, so instead let me play nice. How about, you don't want to give it to me? Well, here are a bunch of other people who you didn't want to give it to, and we're all saying, give it to us. What are you going to do now? There's strength in numbers. It's a divide and conquer tactic that unfortunately we created for ourselves. They didn't even have to do it. Black people came up with it all on our own, and it makes me sad.
And to me, this whole new black thing, it's like.
By the way, somebody new is in the group.
Yes, Lex, you were on mute or whatever. I know you didn't want to make no noise, but
nice to finally meet you guys.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Val. Justin, wave your hand.
Hey.
Kenneth, wave. And M, she's the new member or the new person here among the group. We already sort of gotten started on what our thoughts are on Pharrell and this whole new black old coon movement. And so I was just curious to know what are your thoughts as far as that is concerned?
I feel like I voiced a lot of them already through memes and sarcasm. But yeah, I'm over it. It annoys me when like on their come up on like a lot of these black men, these famous men, like their come up, like they'll rap really hard, but then they get the money, and then they start, like doing the dance for master, and like it's annoying, and like it's played out, but like it still hurts when it happens. Like I'm not impressed with comments right now. I'm very upset because he was big, and now he's not. So
I feel like we'll get to him soon.
Yeah, we're gonna get to him because wasn't he just on an award show talking about slavery
yes,
and everything?
What,
Now it's our
John
responsibility. I'm so sick of it being my fault, my responsibility, and my I have to take the initiative to fix things. But nobody's saying, hey, white people, you need to do this and you need to do that so that we can find a common ground. And it's not white people coming out and saying it's these black asses that are coming out and saying this foolishness. Like I guess this is a good way to segue into the first person that into the other person that we wanted to discuss first, which was Raven Simone. I mean, I understand that she's going through some.
Have you seen Ghazi's video on that? He just put out a video on that.
Well,
Ghazi's the truth. I love him.
I don't know if she's going through an identity crisis or whatever, or she's having a lot of problems or whatever. But Em, tell me what you think about Raven Simone and her recent antics as of late.
Well, here's the thing. It's so weird. I don't think that Raven's going through identity crisis. I feel like this is always in the way that she is.
Hold on, you're breaking up because we're missing chunks of what you're saying. So can you repeat that because you're breaking up?
Out there in the media.
Hello? She's frozen. I don't know what happened to her, but she'll come back and I'll have her try to repeat what she was saying. But let's move.
Here's ultimate, like, a lot of people try to analyze what these people are thinking, and they're probably right. My frustration is, this is what happens when people assume money gives you intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, we look to these people and assume that they're going to have some profound statement on culture, on race relations, and whatnot, but they're no smarter than you or me. Some of them are actually dumber. Exactly. So, like, Raven Simone probably said what she said because, as a lot of these black folk think, they're saying something deep and profound, but really, you're just saying something really dumb. And all
Hello?
it takes
Yes.
is crap.
Welcome
Hey,
back.
sorry, boss.
You're back.
Hey, yeah, I responded. Go on without me. I don't know if anyone got the
No,
IM
we
that I
didn't.
sent.
You was going
Sorry.
in and we were really into it, and then it started breaking up, and I was like, "Oh
Okay.
my goodness!"
Well, has anyone responded since I've
Since I left. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he was going in.
Yeah,
was
go
saying-
ahead, finish what you were saying, and I'll go back to mine.
Yeah, essentially what I was saying was that, like, regardless of whether or not Raven is going through an identity crisis, I think the ultimate problem is that we expect too much from people like her. Like, where they make these, they think we equate their celebrity with intelligence, and a lot of these people are no smarter than you or me, and if not less so. And so she probably thought she was saying something deep and profound about transcending labels. I don't see myself as lesbian. I don't see myself as black. I'm more than that. And it's like, do you even know what you're saying? Or it sounded cool in your head, but did you really think about it? I don't think you did.
I think I know what she was trying to say. I think she wants to get to, like, all of us pretty much, that's what she's saying, that she wants to get to the point where she doesn't have to, he wants to just be an individual. She doesn't want to have to be labeled and stereotyped as that, and the other. And I get what she's saying. In a perfect world, a Latino American will just be an American, African American be an American, Asian American will be an American, but we don't live in this fantasy utopia that she lives in. Unfortunately, the game that we play is is with rules that are stacked against us, and just and like you somebody mentioned earlier, when you have money, because apparently money outrules any form of racism. Apparently, once you have money, then people, of course, will lay down their feet because the only true color that matters is green. But you see through this world that, okay, I'm on this air and I'm a black person and people are treating me with respect, and no, they're treating your money with respect. You didn't have to go through the struggle. Like, she was a child star. She didn't have to go through the struggles. Somebody who comes from a broken home and has to
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? She did go through the struggles. She was light skinned and she experienced so much adversity from other darker skinned folks. How dare you dismiss her?
I knew a kid that went to high school with Raven-Symoné. He said she was a brat from jump.
And
he said she was always bratty, and she always thought she was better than other people. So
wait to get on Stacey Dash.
I just thought I would mention that Justin Dash on our panel here is related to Stacey Dash and Dame Dash. He is the cousin of these two.
Oh man, your family. Wait a minute.
I'm just gonna put this out there, and this is not me trying to negate the issues that a light-skinned person might experience in Black America. But the fact of the matter is, historically, light-skinned Blacks have been treated better by white people and by other Black people. I mean, white people are not the ones that came up with the paper bag test. To them, we were all Negroes. This was light-skinned Blacks putting themselves on a pedestal because their phenotype was closer to white, saying that we don't want to associate with these dark-skinned Black people. And now, money is a new paper bag test. And Raven happens to fall into both categories. So you can put on the fake struggle all you want to, but let's not deny that you are in a place of privilege. And this is privilege she exploits. She will talk about her light skin and her good grade of hair, but she won't talk about things that might cause people to view her negatively, like the fact that she is a homosexual and she's a lesbian woman, and the fact that, you know, regardless of how she wants to feel about it, people still see her as Black and will never identify her as anything else. And I honestly feel of two minds of people who try to deny racism, like she always does every time the subject of race comes up. I either feel that, one, they are pandering to the system, like, okay, I know that's bullshit, but I'm going to side with Massa because he can do more for me than you can. And B, as I alluded to before, I do not feel that when an individual in an oppressed group achieves, a monetary success, it means that the group is no longer oppressed. It just means that that individual can navigate their oppression better. And she's been navigating her oppression quite well with the double whammy of being both light-skinned and rich from a very early age, and beloved as a little child on a sitcom that basically existed to create an illusion of the perfect Black family archetype. So she's out of touch with the Black community, and has been out of touch with the Black community since long before prepubescence. I do not expect her to understand, so I'm not the least bit surprised at what she said. I would actually be surprised at how, at her being socially aware and socially conscious, given the fact that she has been embroiled in an industry ruled by rich white men since she was a child, since she was a toddler.
So, Lex, what do you? I know you've
signing her checks. That's all I'm saying.
This period, pretty much. So, Lex, I mean, I know you've vented your frustrations about Raven-Symoné. So, what do you think, as far as that's concerned?
So with her earlier comments on Oprah, I'm agreeing with Kenneth, kind of, because I understand that she was going for the why do we have to, identify ourselves, additionally on top of that, because like when you think of All American, what's the first image that pops into your head is probably some white football player from middle of Tennessee, America, anywhere, I don't know. Yeah, all American, yeah, quotations. So I guess I understood what she was trying to say in that regard, but she failed miserably because if we have to sit here and analyze what you were trying to say, it means you didn't say it correctly. And then with her recent comments, I just, and like Ghazi said it perfectly. It's just like the ape is historically like they use that to like attempt to dehumanize us, and that's what it is. And like I don't appreciate her trying to like pretend that it was something else. Like it was obviously racially charged. I don't care what anyone says, because like I haven't heard anyone talk about a past like first lady like that in other terms. Like so, it's racially charged. I don't like her pretending it wasn't. Like Em said, she is out of touch, and she has been out of touch for a while. But it's still annoying because, like, I've watched her for a while. I like her on That's the Raven. I like her on the Cosby Show. So it's annoying when people say dumb shit like this because you want to cheer for them, but by saying shit like this, they prove that they aren't worth it. Basically.
You know,
you have to understand too. Raven is the richest black woman in America after Oprah. Raven is the richest black woman in America after Oprah. Raven alone made billions of dollars for Disney Channel with That's So Raven, and the product sold off the success of that show. She's the first and still to this day the only black woman that's ever had her own sitcom on the Disney Channel. So you have to understand, she sees these things and not as
there is that kid
exception,
now,
but the rule, even though they've only happened to her. And these are doors open for her by her original TV debut as Olivia on a show produced by Bill Cosby, who was the original Let's Not Talk About Race and It Will Go Away grandfather. I don't expect anyone who spent any significant amount of time around this man to be real about racial issues and to ever stand behind their words when they're called out on racial issues.
He knew how to make enemies.
I think like
on both sides of the fence.
For some reason, I'm not sure what it is. Like you have another example, like you have Jesse Williams, you know, Debbie Allen's son, who's totally in step with what's going on.
He's other big. Like, let's hope
he's Debbie Allen's son. Debbie Allen was the woman who decided to come on a different world, make the show more political, make the show focus more on racial topics. She even got rid of Marissa Tomei. Now I liked Maggie. I thought Maggie was cool. I liked her character on the show. Cool. But when she got rid of Marissa Tomei, that show got real. It was about the real HBCU experience, and we didn't have to not talk about Maggie's race because we never talked about the fact that she was a white girl at a historically black college. We never talked about it.
Well, I did like her character, and I think the show when it didn't have its head up Dwayne Whitley's ass, it did tackle a lot of issues of the HB, the historical black college. But one of the things, and say what you will about Bill Cosby, he protected that show because NBC wanted to cancel that thing for a while, and after the Cosby Show ended, he kind of just, severed all ties from it. So when they did that episode about the Rodney King riots, that's kind of what did the show in. They didn't have him to protect it anymore. And I forget which channel this is. My father watches it all the time. And they did they were talking about A Different World, and they said that when they did that episode, the NBC was like, "You're done. Like, that's it. We're canning you because we told you not to do it. We told you not to talk about that." And they did anyway, because why not? It's an important issue. And so say what you will about Bill Cosby, he was a shield for that show, and he was what kept it going for a while. It's just, I don't know. Success has a way of messing with black people's minds.
I want to kind of drive this point home because I feel like a lot of people, kind of take away the historical context of not just her money, but her complexion. Raven's complexion has afforded her a lot of privilege in the black community. We prize red bone, yellow women, and she's got money on top of that, and she's thick on top of that, and these are all things that the Black community reveres and that we love. And there is a long history of people being put on a pedestal by both the Black community and the white community, because Raven was Black enough to be called Black, but she was light enough to make white people feel comfortable.
Yes.
Watching her on television. And the fact of the matter is, there's always been that Black person that throws other Black people under the bus. She's doing it with words. There were people doing it with actions. There was always that slave on the plantation who could not, under any circumstances, get wind of anyone's plans to run away or revolt, because they were running straight to Massa, because they knew he had all the power and you did not. And he cared more about Massa's favor than he did his freedom.
Because he was still getting slop, but the slop he was getting was better than what the field was getting.
Or he got larger portions of slop.
He got larger portions of slop.
Yep. The house Negro. There was a difference between the field Negro and the house Negro. And
don't forget the overseers. Most of the overseers were Black too.
Well, see, here's the thing that speaks back to what Lex said earlier about, the name calling. Well, Raven Simone being like, well, we all look like animals or whatever. And, gorilla and ape being associated with, Black people. Like, you really don't hear that about, people of other races, mainly white people. You would never hear somebody being like, oh, Barbara Bush looks like a wet dog. Like, you would never say that on TV. Like, you would never hear people say things like that on TV. And I think that speaks volumes. And for her to kind of endorse that is like, well, see, that just gives certain people, the edge to say, see, she's saying it, so that's okay, and she's Black or whatever. She's one of the colored people that I like,
But here's the thing, though. She didn't say we all look like animals. She said some people look like animals.
Yep.
Some people,
what she meant was
like
dark-skinned people look like animals.
Exactly.
Ooh.
And she kind of walked into it because on Twitter they're going in and calling her Toucan Sam. She brought that upon herself. That's what I see on Twitter. I didn't participate. I'm just telling you.
Toucan Sam like that, though.
She walked into that one herself when she decided to say that some people look like animals. But the fact of the matter is, she's taking all racial context out of it. And that's why I like that my girl Rosie Perez checked her, because she's had to live as a Latina and a Black woman. And there's colorism in the Latino community that exists as a side effect of the continuing legacy of racism in the Black community. You can't sidestep that and pretend like it doesn't exist. And like somebody said, she's trying to transcend race to get to this utopia. That's great, but transcending something doesn't mean denying that it exists. We don't discriminate people based on hair color, but I'm not going to pretend that a person who's blonde isn't blonde. I'm not colorblind.
That's the thing. The thing I like is like Black Twitter. They check people, and I really
they
like
check
that.
everybody.
They check everybody. But
check those newscasters.
Black Twitter brings all the shade and all the tea. It's like a picnic.
When the newscasters tried to blame rappers for slavery,
the Black Twitter was on that. They were all over it.
Yes.
They were all over
They
it.
were even on Oscar. Did you watch? Were you reading the Oscars So White hashtag?
yes.
They went in all the shade and all the tea in the world.
Yeah, they definitely did.
But somebody made a point earlier saying that we always get these Black people on TV. People like Raven Simone, Pharrell, Ben Carson, Charles Barkley, to come on TV and respected media outlets and talk about how race is dead, or how there's nothing wrong with saying the N-word and freedom of speech, even though that's not what it means legally, but that's another situation altogether. And it's this desperate bid to try to like, if I get enough famous white people to say this, then the rest of you will look crazy.
Like I said that earlier.
I'm in the position of power, but I need to be able to oppress you further. So I'm going to get somebody from your group to co-sign it.
A minstrel, as I call it.
Would you guys consider that there's a lack of leadership in the Black community?
No, I don't, because I don't think we need a leader. Who's out here leading a leader? The Asian community is doing fine without leaders. Why? Because they are starting their own businesses. They support their own. They're making sure they're educated. They're working on their entrepreneurship, and they're not stabbing each other in the back on national TV saying, "Oh, I don't think anything's wrong with calling another Asian person a chink."
Exactly. Same goes for the Jewish community.
Jewish community.
But whenever
get your money right. Support.
But whenever problems go down, everybody want to Al. Here come Al Sharpton with his. Oh God.
Can he sit down like several seats? Why does he keep coming back? Why every time something happens, I'm just like, oh, here we go.
And I think
he's their go-to. When we're getting rowdy. She disappeared again. She'll come back. When black folks start rowdy. When the man sees that we're getting a little too uppity, they're like, "Ow, we need you to come and calm them down. Make a rousing speech or say something inspiring. That'll quiet him down."
I need someone to tell him he's not MLK, he's not Malcolm, he's not. He needs to sit down.
He is a real whore.
He needs to
what he is.
sit down because his head must. He needs to sit down because his head must be most of his body weight at this point.
Probably 50 pounds.
Let me shift
I'm
gears
gonna say
real
something
quick.
unpopular. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but something I've actually been thinking about a lot. I think that the idea from black people and from white people that the black community needs a leader is just another way to discredit the black movement and infantilize black people. We are not calling all people of other communities accountable for when a member of their group does something fucked up. But the moment a black person does something wrong, where are the black leaders to talk about this? Black youth are acting unruly. Where are the black leaders to train these children? I mean, it goes back to the overseer mentality. Black people cannot be left to their own devices. They always need a leader. And that leader is usually gets assassinated if they're legit, or they're just a white supremacist in black skin.
Let me say this. What I wanted to do is, because while we're on this subject, I wanted to switch focus a little bit. And sorry if anybody had anything else. We're gonna shift gears a little bit.
I did have something to chime because something you said was cool, but continue.
We're gonna I'm going to segue in sort of like the political sector. I know, Em, you mentioned, you talked about Ben Carson. Now, you'd be surprised, but a lot of conservatives see him as sort of like a black leader, even though he hasn't really talked about much of anything except gay people. What do you think about his actions and him being one of those, political coons? Sorry, is that too un-PC? Coon? Ben Carson is and that speaks to a little bit of what you guys were mentioning earlier. Like there's the black conservatism in the communities, which kind of ruins our chances at solidarity.
Well, you asked me how I feel about that, and this is how I feel. I think black people and white people, even white liberals, have a very different definition of the term.
White liberals
have a very different definition of the term black leader. When we say black leader, we're thinking about someone who is standing up for every single member and subgroup of the black community to our betterment. When white people think black leader, they think a leader who happens to be black. Because the last thing a white person wants is someone who genuinely cares about the black community.
So you're saying they would want somebody like
nothing to change the status quo. They love Ben Carson because Ben Carson promotes the most conservative values even more heavily than the most white conservative. And they can look at Ben Carson and say, look, I support him. I'm definitely not racist.
The problem with black Republicans, and that's what, like, looking at Ben Carson, I had to remind myself who he was. I just Googled him. And I'm like, oh, I know this dude. He was on Real Time a little bit ago. The problem with black Republicans is they have to tap dance, and this is the problem with Republicans in general. They all have to tap dance to this tune, these talking points, and especially when it goes against their own self-interest. And a lot of them don't actually. I really believe a lot of them don't believe what they're saying. Look at like Michael Steele. Michael Steele used to irritate the crap out of me when he was the RNC until his party, no surprise, threw him under the bus. And now, like, he's on MSNBC and he's way more moderate than he ever was when he was the RNC. And it's like you lose credibility when you play with the Republican Party. And this is not to say that Democrats are perfect. They have their issues too. But black Republicans frustrate me because I feel like they are the definition of a sellout. I can't take anything they say seriously. It bothers me because like you're throwing your party under the bus, not necessarily because you agree with it. I can almost see that bit of your soul dying when you say this stuff. But you gotta say it.
Like Herman Cain.
Yes.
They threw his ass under the bus, something special.
No, but
You haven't even seen Ben Carson since last
no, he
year.
still has fans. There are tons of black.
But you haven't even seen him on TV since
If you ever go to conservative Facebook pages and read the comments, white people just the thread littered with people like, this country has never been more racist than since Obama was elected to office. Like, I would totally love it if Herman Cain or Ben Carson would run for president. I totally vote for him. I'm not racist. This is just all Obama's fault.
You know what? I've never seen such a lack of respect for any president in the history of this country than for this one guy. It's like everything is fault.
Mm-hmm. But going back to what M was saying, I do agree with what you're saying that it is kind of weird that we're the people that need a leader. Like you said, the Asian community, they don't seem to need one. The Jewish community doesn't seem to need one. They do just fine. Blacks are the ones that apparently we can't get by without some kind of leadership. But I think the problem
we're the unruly children.
Yes. But I think the problem with that is while we shouldn't need leaders, even white folk, though they don't have a set leader, they have several talking heads that represent their ideals, people that they more or less agree with on the whole. They're Democratic, they're liberal talking heads and conservative talking heads, but you rarely ever see a Republican or conservative disagree with their talking heads, same as with Democrats. But black folk, we can't ever seem to agree with everything one of our talking heads says.
Well, I have something to say about that.
Like we've been talking about Raven Simone, she's become one of our talking heads, whether we like it or not. Oprah is one of our talking heads. Some of our directors, Lee Daniels, Spike Lee, Tyler Perry,
unfortunately rappers have.
And not only do we not agree with them, but they don't agree with each other. So we don't have a unified message, and I think that's the problem. Even if we don't need a leader, we do need some kind of, something. And
well, here's how I feel about that. Like, first of all, these actresses and singers are not talking heads. They're celebrities with opinions. White celebrities give their opinions all the time. Secondly, talking heads that are in the political arena for white people are not there to represent that white person's interests so far as the betterment of that person. They're already in a position of privilege. That white person is either there to push for a change to make things even better for that white person, or to prevent a change that makes that white person uncomfortable, usually something having to do with religion. Because no matter who gets elected, this is a white supremacist society, and it will always function in favor of white people. And that is why they can always present a united front, because they're not the group that's systematically oppressed and lacking and having privileges and rights slowly pulled from us with every passing day, having lives taken every passing day. You can just chill. I can agree with 80% of what you say and disagree with 20. But if my life is already great, then I'm not gonna nitpick at the 20%. We have 10%. Okay, we have about 10% of the things that we want. So of course we are going to look over the contract over and over and over and pick out things that we don't sign to, that we don't agree on. And that's okay, because black people are not a monolith. But we keep being represented that way in the media. This is back to the black leader issue. We are not a monolith. We do not need a black leader, because there are are all types of black personalities. There are black conservatives and Republicans, whether we like it or not. Every personality you can find in any other racial group, you can find it among black people. We are people after all. But the U.S. government and the Western world at large continues to infantilize black people, treat us as a monolith, and treat us as some sort of curio that needs to be contained. And if we are biting at the white hand, then they're going to train a black hand to rein us in and put the leash on us.
I wanted to ask Lex. You've been quiet. I want to know what your thoughts are on this whole thing. Ben Carson and I mean, we might as well just throw Stacey Dash in there because she's like the female version of him anyway.
Don't get me started.
She's like she said I'm gonna vomit. She's like the female version of Ben Carson anyway. And I don't know if she seems to be trying to climb the political ladder. I mean, I'm not really sure because the things that she's been talking about, like, I don't know. I mean, I really just don't know about her. So, Lex, hold on. Let me get her opinion first. So, I mean, what are you thinking about Ben Carson, Stacey Dash? What do you think?
So I'm agreeing with in that we technically don't need leaders, because that is a way to attempt to rein us in, especially if they're not of the same mind or they have their own alternate agendas, because that could happen. Just on my college campus a couple months ago, these group of social justice this social justice group, there was a internal conflict that happened, and one of said leaders did something that compromised the entire community. This really racist thing that initially we thought it came from some group that hacked our pages or whatever, but this was one of the leaders who did it for whatever reason. Can't really go into it, but he compromised the movement, and then he made everyone look bad. So I do also push back against the whole leader thing, because when you do that, you have a host of other problems to deal with, especially if they don't have your best interests at heart. So
now I know Justin,
goes down the whole.
you're you this is your family, and I didn't forget about you, Ken, because I want to hear your thoughts on this too. But Stacey Dash is your fam. Talk a little bit about
First of all, take anything you hear from her with I'm pretty sure we all do it anyway, with not a grain of salt, but basically the whole salt shaker. She's attention hungry first and political 20th. She doesn't care about any of that. She'll say what she feels she needs to say to keep herself in the spotlight. That's essentially what that's her MO. Politically, she doesn't care. Even recently, something I was reading was with all her comments that she speaks about black people, about feminism, she just recently attacked Patricia Arquette for her Oscar speech, and I'm like, wait, but since when did you care about? And the reason she's doing it is because everybody else jumped on her, so she wants to jump on the bandwagon because, hey, that's popular, so I'm going to do that. She was hardcore Obama when he first ran. Then when he started receiving criticism and his second term started to come along, she all of a sudden jumped on the conservative bandwagon. And she seems to have stuck with that, I guess, because that's the party about money, so that's the thing that she's most gravitates towards.
Look.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Sorry about that.
So what are your thoughts on Stacey Dash and her
Well, okay, and I'm on the same trip as he was saying. I don't believe in she was just attention whoring. If anybody was gonna put a camera in front of her face, she was gonna say whatever she needed to be put in the spotlight. But then at the same time, I think that the media wanted to kind of pump that up. They look for people who's gonna bring dissent like that. So they're like, okay, well, who's gonna say something negative about the black community? Okay, all right, we're gonna put you on camera and give you 15 minutes, and if you say something negative, we'll keep giving you the extra 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So she's like, well, I get to ride this wave now. But and now Stacey's Dash, even though it's negative, but her name is in everybody's mouth though.
media minstrel? That's what I call them. media
Yeah,
minstrels.
It's sad, but she is. Just
I feel though that this is. I feel that all of this new black behavior though is fueled by something that the current white person is doing, especially the white liberal, of intentional ignorance. Like bad things happened in the past, and I feel bad, but that's over now. I'm not going to actually look into those bad things and how they continue to play out today and how they affect pretty much every social interaction between races today. I'm going to just say bad things happened in the past and keep myself ignorant, because exploring things further would make me uncomfortable, and white people don't like to be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So, and a lot of black people have adopted the same mentality.
I think my issue with the white liberal is they don't want to deal with their white privilege because it makes them uncomfortable. I want to pretend I don't have it. I'm equal. I agree with I think racism did exist, but, I feel like if we keep talking about it, it's just going to make it worse. So maybe, I don't have a problem with you, so maybe there isn't a problem. And then there's the person who embraces their white privilege and just says, yeah, I'm privileged, and I like it. I don't ever want you to be my equal. So either way, it's a situation.
I would rather deal with the latter. And here's
I
why.
agree.
That person isn't operating with blinders on, one. Yes. And number two, they're openly admitting that they like their privilege. This is the most important part. Not just admitting you have privilege, but admitting you love the status quo. Because loving the status quo is how you can pretend that it doesn't exist.
I agree. Martin Luther King spoke about that. He said that. And those white liberals who love to quote him don't quote that. Where he says they are worse than the Klan, because they'll tell you, we believe that you should be equal, but we don't agree with how you're trying to get it. So we're just going to say that maybe you should wait until you come up with an idea we think is best. So if you're not going to help, get out of the way. And
that's what irritates me is the ones that say, I understand your pain, I understand your struggle. No.
Exactly.
You don't know what it's like to walk down the street and then somebody, a white person walking down the street, and then they step to the side because I'm big and black and I might attack them in broad daylight. I mean,
and it is the mark of privilege that you can tell an oppressed group how they should feel about their oppression and how they should go about treating and speaking to their oppressor. The level of tone policing, word policing, action policing of black people in an attempt to be liberated in this country is ridiculous. It's all of this. Don't be mean to me. You're hurting my feelings. Like if you don't say things in the right tone, you make the white person uncomfortable, you step on their toes a little bit. I'm uncomfortable. Oh no, I feel threatened. I feel scared. Anything that makes a white person feel uncomfortable is threatening and scary. And you have to be, and this is why I'm getting on these black men specifically. They're playing the role of the non-threatening Negro.
I somewhat agree. I think lately the black man has kind of been, well, we've always been under attack, but it's kind of like, granted, I see what you're saying, but I think black men, we get a lot of flack because, as a black man, we are a feared animal. Like black women are a feared thing too, but we're seen as intimidating. No one ever wants to give the black man, to the point where we are thrown under the bus even by our own. Something I was musing about, I don't know if anyone here has seen Dear White People.
I haven't seen it.
It's a good movie. I legitimately liked it. Here's my issue with the film. It encapsulates how I feel that even black society has treated the black man, where not a single black male character in that film was likable. We had likable traits, but overall we were portrayed as selves. The only one that was portrayed as likable was the director, Analog, the character played by Tyler James Williams, who is also a new black, who has that new black mentality. That character was clearly an analog for the director. He's the only black male in that movie that was likable. The other black male character was a self-serving politician whose father was the dean of the school, and he only cared about himself. Same with the only other black guy. So the main character, her love interest, was a white man whose only role in the movie was I guess to make white people feel more comfortable watching the movie. See, we know white people aren't all bad, so here's a white guy who's not all bad, and he's the love interest for the black girls. See, but the black man, we can't get that. We got thrown under the bus. We're self-serving assholes who are like who don't even. And it bothers me. We're like,
I think you're focusing too much on the self-serving black man, because there are tons of movies about self-serving white men. What you need to be focused on is why the only likable character was a new black person, because the only black person that white people can feel comfortable around is a white person that denies that racism is an issue. That's the real problem. And the girl who advocates for black power and black advocacy, and this is not a jab at interracial relationships, by the way. Well, I'm the white person in the audience seeing this girl advocating for black unity and pride, but she's taking white dick every night. She's not that down.
It's not only that. They get these women who speak for black culture, but they're past. They can pass as white. They're light skinned with curly hair. Anything else is unacceptable.
Well, she's not. She couldn't pass as white, but she's white enough.
I'm just saying. She's light enough. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, here we go again. That's one of the reasons why I could say I didn't see the film, because I'm like, here we go again, where the focus is white people. Maybe that's not what the film portrayed, but the title kind of threw me off. And then I was like, here we go again. We have another light face. That's the face of race relations, and she's sleeping with a white man. So now we got the Negro bed wench thing. So maybe I'm thinking too much into it or whatever. But it just kind of threw me for a loop.
No, my only issue with it was not even that she was dating the white guy, honestly, but the fact that she was biracial, and it turned into like a tragic mulatto story where I have to represent for my oppressed half, and I'm having an identity crisis. So it was like the socio-political version of Glitter. I wish that the dark-skinned girl had been the premise of the movie, or the black kid who was a new Negro. Maybe go into his backstory. Tell me why he feels the need to deny race like that. Why he feels like he can't identify with other black people. Maybe a coming to terms with his racial identity. Don't give me the sad story about the little biracial girl that had it so hard because she just wasn't black enough, and so she overcompensates by repping by being Sister Soldier. In the meantime, she's having another existential crisis, because to her, an interracial relationship isn't just an interracial relationship. It's a political move or something like that. Like, get over it. But I'm over her little story.
Yeah, but not only that, I wouldn't have minded it as much if her love interest, this white guy, had a personality outside of the white guy. He never had any character flaws. He wasn't even a little bit racist. He seemed like the director's idealized version of what they want a white person to be like. I'm 100% down. I don't have a racist bone in my body. And so as I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, why are you here? You're bland. You exist, but you have no function for this narrative.
Token white guy syndrome.
But here's the thing too. He's the one. I think his role was to make and maybe racists who are dating interracially feel better about themselves, and they can look at their partner of color and be like, well, I'm with you, so that's proof that I'm not racist. Because everyone knows you can't date interracially and be racist and have a fetish. That's never happened.
Well, what I'm going to do is
they can falsely equate themselves to that guy, that likable guy who's dating interracially and is down, and they can make themselves an authority on race vicariously by dating a person of color.
So what I'm going to do is, I don't mean to cut everybody off, but we are edging on to an hour, and I don't want to take it over any longer. So I want to sort of reel it in, and I want to get your final thoughts. Everybody, I want to get their final thoughts on what we've talked about: Raven Simone, Ben Carson, Stacey Dash, comments, or anything like that. Let's try to keep it under 30 seconds. And okay, I'm going to start with Lex. I'm going to start with you. Any last parting words? Anything like that on the subject?
Comments piss me off because he just got through starring in a fucking movie that shows what happens when we're nice to white people. So I don't understand the logic. So those are my final comments.
Kenneth, anything you got?
quit looking at black people with money as just because they have money that they're also intellectuals. I mean, you know, just because you can throw a ball down a field don't mean that you can, solve contemplative math equations or can understand, social injustice and can actually speak on them.
Justin, you got anything for me?
I think there comes a point where there's a point where you have to pick up the pen, and there's a point where you have to pick up the sword. Common's comments were, I saw what he was trying to do, but we tried extending our hand in friendship, and a policeman's dog bit our hand. So sometimes with this fight, we can't play nice. Not all the time.
What you got?
Well, as I said, I don't feel that we need black leaders, but I do think that we need black unity. And I don't mean us all wanting the same things. I mean coming together in a show of respect for one another, not allowing others outside of our group to disrespect us, not prizing whiteness over blackness, and not, soliciting the businesses of others over our own, constantly bringing down the dreams and aspirations of those within our community and refusing to support one another, both emotionally and financially. And this is the Haitian in me speaking, but they came and took our people by force from Africa and spread them across. I don't believe that freedom is something that you win or earn. Freedom is something that you have, and if someone tries to take it, you take it back by any means necessary.
Wow. I guess, this has been a really great discussion, and you guys have kind of left me speechless. You've pretty much said everything that I, would want to say. The only thing I think I would ask is, this is kind of a stretch, but I would really implore upon the celebrities to just be quiet, because they're as much as.
Look, let's not pretend it's only black celebrities that say dumb things. It's just,
I'm talking for all. Like, just be quiet.
This pedestal. Black celebrities say dumb shit all the time.
Yeah, they do. I just want people to just be quiet. I'm gonna end the broadcast right now. And I'm going to say, I promise the audience next time it'll be a little bit more streamlined and organized. We'll probably have a video up, once I learn how to do it on a computer that isn't mine. So thank you for tuning in to the Black Flag Media Collective Episode 1 talk about new blacks and old coons. Thank you for tuning in.